I'm not Roxy. I just need
that dick. I'ma be the way I am until I fucking die. And if you don't like it, die first then, bitch.
And just to clear the air, I don't give a fuck about how nobody feel about me. Keep feeling it, bitch.
The evening of March 11th, 2023, a 27-year-old woman and her 7-year-old daughter were tricked into going on a trip by her ex-boyfriend. That was the last time that Michelle Melendez and her daughter Layla Stewart were seen alive.
It's been since last Sunday since anybody heard, seen, or talked to my daughter and granddaughter.
I'm missing a whole part of me. That's my sister and that's my niece. We don't know where they're at.
It wasn't until days later that the Vancouver Police Department received the harrowing 911 call. 2 bodies had been found along Southeast Wooding Road near Sunset View Road in Washougal, Washington. This is the life and death of Michelle Melendez and Layla Stewart.
Sweet girl with a bushy up, let's be skin smooth here, long ass tits.
Y'all bitches really be thinking y'all got one up on somebody. Talking about I fucked your baby daddy. That's fine. Okay? That's fine.
Their story would bring us to the city of Vancouver, Washington, a city that had been struggling with an increasing crime rate as the years passed. And it is within this city that a tragedy would befall the mother and daughter, Michelle and Layla.
Bang, bang, choo choo train, let me see you do your thing. Bounce, 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 bounce.
27-year-old Michelle Carmen Melendez was born on February 8, 1996 in Vancouver, Washington. She grew up in a very close-knit family that completely adored one another. Michelle was an independent and fierce woman who was known for her radiant smile, genuine kindness, and deep devotion to her family. She attended local schools in Vancouver and later worked in various customer service roles to help support her loved ones. Michelle gave her all to those around her, especially in relationships, even when they didn't always turn out as she hoped.
It's a lovely day to go to the gym and see my best friend's ass.
She eventually fell in love and married Javante Stewart. For a while, their relationship thrived, full of laughter, love, and shared dreams. But like many couples, they eventually faced hardships that grew too heavy to carry. Though they later divorced, Michelle never regretted the time they shared because through Javante, she received the greatest gift of her life, her daughter, Layla Stewart, the role she cherished most of all. Layla was born on September 2015 and immediately became her mother's greatest pride and joy. Every decision Michelle made, every job she took, was done with one goal in mind: to build a better life for her daughter. She was so proud of Layla and had even said she didn't know what she did to deserve such an amazing child. Layla was only 7 years old. She was a bright, bubbly little girl with a very promising future. She was well-behaved and doing very well in school with no sign of trouble. Michelle and Layla shared a bond that was as close as it gets. They often appeared in TikTok videos together, doing fun dances and making happy memories. So Michelle would never do anything to jeopardize her safety, such as suddenly disappearing, which made their absence more alarming. As the police got involved in the mysterious disappearance of the mother and daughter, they would be faced with a disturbing confirmation. Michelle Melendez and her daughter Layla Stewart were soon confirmed missing. And it wasn't long until the police began retracing their last known steps. Through witness interviews and surveillance footage, investigators uncovered a troubling detail. On March 11, 2023, Michelle and Layla were last seen entering a friend's house. But they weren't alone. With them was Kirkland Warren, Michelle's ex-boyfriend. After her relationship with Javante ended, Michelle had started dating Kirkland, a decision that, in hindsight, would have devastating consequences. As their relationship progressed, Kirkland became a regular presence in Michelle's life, and by extension, Layla's. He occasionally helped with school drop-offs and pickups, especially when Michelle's car wasn't working. Over time, Layla grew comfortable around him. To her, he wasn't a threat. He was someone her mother trusted. But that trust would prove tragically misplaced. Because behind the helpful demeanor, Kirkland Warren carried a dark and deeply troubling past, one that stretched back to his own upbringing. He was raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where his father once served as a municipal judge. But the family name took a hit when his father resigned in disgrace following allegations of abuse of office, second-degree forgery, and attempted theft. As troubling as that legacy was, Kirkland's own criminal history would prove to be even darker. In late 2017, Kirkland Warren, then 22, and 57-year-old Curtis Urquhart were seen leaving a notary's office together in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. That was the last time Curtis was seen alive. According to Kirkland's later confession, during their drive, Curtis repeatedly demanded money, leading Kirkland to claim he feared for his life. He then retrieved a .22 caliber handgun from under his seat and shot Curtis in the head. Gurin disposed of the body in a ditch near Stuttgart, Arkansas. The body was discovered on December 11 by 3 men who had stopped nearby. It showed signs of decomposition and animal activity. The police immediately went to the obvious suspect. Kirkland was arrested on December 12, 2017, and charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He was released the following day after posting a $250,000 bond. Kirkland quickly ran to Vancouver, where he had several brushes with the law. In 2020, he was investigated for possessing a stolen semi-automatic handgun. In March 2021, he attempted to purchase another firearm, falsely stating that he was not under indictment, which led to the denial of his application. But his rogue activities seemed to quiet down after he met a girl and fell in love. What followed was a whirlwind romance that moved fast and burned hot. But from the beginning, friends and family sensed something was off. Deep down, even Michelle had her doubts. Still, Kirkland knew exactly what to say. He pulled her in with promises of fast money and a better life, an offer that felt too good to pass up. Just like Kirkland with his ex-wife, the nature of his and Michelle's relationship quickly shifted from merely toxic to also being criminal. The investigators dug into records to understand them more and uncovered that Michelle was not a stranger to Kirkland's violent side. In December 2022, shortly after their scheme, Michelle called 911 to report an assault against her by Kirkland. She claimed that she and Kirkland had an argument, and then he started firing shots at the balcony of her apartment. A friend who was present during the incident corroborated Michelle's account, but Michelle soon changed her story. In February, Michelle recanted her earlier statements. She claimed that she and her friend had mental health and drug issues. Now she wanted assurances that Kirkland would not be arrested. But police only found this suspicious. And so in March 2023, Vancouver police arrested Kirkland on charges including second-degree domestic violence assault, drive-by shooting, making a false statement, harassment, and possession of a stolen firearm. During his court appearance on March 3rd, prosecutors highlighted that Kirkland posed an extreme risk to Melendez, citing a danger assessment score of 31 on a scale of 1 to 18. Despite this, he was granted a $100,000 0-cents bail with conditions, including a no-contact order with Michelle, which he broke 2 hours later. He made an angry jail call to Michelle. Kirkland accused her of causing this and ordered her to fix it. Michelle promised that she was doing her best. He was cited for this violation and ordered to have a higher bail and be fitted with a GPS monitor. However, he was never fitted, as the case was dismissed the next day.
That weren't protected. They're not protected. DV has never really been taken seriously. The restraining orders are false security blankets. He was released with no GPS in the first place.
Now free, unmonitored, and pissed off, Kirkland wasted no time finishing what he started before the arrest. He went straight to Michelle, who fell into the dangerous trap of getting into his car. March 12, 2023, was the last day Michelle and Layla were seen alive with Kirkland. Investigators had already learned that after visiting their friend's residence on the morning of March 11th, Kirkland invited Michelle on the trip that would change her life. The next day, Kirkland dangled a familiar temptation in front of Michelle, the promise of fast money. just like the old days when they'd head out with nothing and come back richer. Miche agreed, not suspecting anything darker. At 5 a.m. on March 12, after telling their friend they were heading out to make some money, they climbed into Kirkland's burgundy Dodge Charger and left. The friend reported that when Kirkland returned at about 8 a.m., the sight in the car was extremely disturbing. Kirkland was blasting loud music with Miche in the passenger seat, but she was passed out and naked from the waist down.
A friend saw the two with Miche's boyfriend, Kirkland Warren. The friend says Miche was unconscious and naked from the waist down.
When the friend reached in to turn down the music and inquire about Miche, Kirkland shouted at her. He then went inside the residence, got Layla, put her in the vehicle, and drove off. That was the last time they were seen alive, except for a confusing social media post. 3 days later, on March 14, 2023, a post was made on Miche's Facebook account that reads, DND, which could mean do not disturb. Whether Miche herself sent the message or whether someone else was behind it remains a chilling, unanswered question. Miche and Layla's loved ones launched their own search, posting flyers and organizing search parties across Vancouver. It was this search that sent Miche's mother out to desperately look for her daughter and granddaughter. She tried to retrace Miche's steps around the neighborhood where she was last seen. Soon, she stumbled into something that would shift the investigation to a sharp focus. Miche's mother located her daughter's Chrysler 200 abandoned in the shopping complex of the Van Mall neighborhood, where Miche and Layla had been last seen with Kirkland. This discovery was made on March 19, and the Vancouver police seized it under a search warrant. But that was not the only search warrant they got that day. On the same day, a search warrant was also executed against Kirkland's house and his car. He was arrested again for unlawful possession of a firearm, violating a protection order, and tampering with a witness. With the incriminating facts of the case and his troubled past, he was already a prime suspect, and this was the police's opportunity to question him. A missing persons detective paid him a visit to find out what he could about Miche and Layla. Kirkland expressed the same concerns the worried family had about Miche and Layla. He found their disappearance troubling and really wanted them to be found safe and sound. But where the family made it clear that Miche's sudden disappearance was completely out of character, Kirkland found it to be pretty normal. Their relationship was notoriously turbulent, so he was not surprised when he didn't hear from her. He claimed that he had tried to reach her on March 11 because he had dropped her off and she had left her purse with him. She never answered, and he assumed she was just ignoring him. The cop tried to find out where he believed Layla and Miche might be. Kirkland provided a timeline of events, stating that he saw them on the morning of March 12, 2023. He mentioned that they left together and he had not seen them since he dropped them off and went to his friend's house. He then made what he thought was a smart move to redirect the blame. He pointed out that Layla's father had once taken Layla and refused to return her, so maybe he was worth looking into. Unknown to Kirkland, the police had already done their investigations and ascertained that Layla's father had nothing to do with the disappearance. All eyes were on him, and the detective knew much more than he was letting Kirkland believe. Although Kirkland tried to present himself as a man turning over a new leaf, the detective wasn't buying it. He knew why Kirkland had really left Arkansas and about the long trail of crimes he'd committed since arriving in Vancouver. Even more troubling, evidence began to suggest that Kirkland and Miche's underground financial scheme had triggered Miche's death. The detective suspected that their operation had gone wrong, causing them to argue before his arrest. After his arrest, Kirkland probably became more vengeful and began to view Miche as a loose end that needed to be silenced. Layla was an unfortunate casualty of their relationship. But the detective wanted to hear it straight from Kirkland, and he was ready to push until he did. After a lengthy interrogation, the detective shifted tactics. He tried to appeal to whatever shred of humanity Kirkland had left. He hinted that some of their questions already had answers, and that Miche and Layla had been found in a terrifying state that would haunt an innocent man forever. Hours earlier, on March 22, a passerby walking his dog had spotted what looked like two life-size mannequins lying on the embankment off Southeast Wooding Road. But as he drew closer, he saw how horrifyingly wrong he was. Clark County Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene around 9:40 a.m. and confirmed these were human bodies. The Vancouver Police Department identified the bodies as Michelle and Layla based on identifying genetic markers. Strikingly, their death bore similarities to a case that had just come to light recently. Just like Curtis Urquhart, Michelle had been shot once in the head, and Layla was shot twice in the head. Their bodies were also dumped in a secluded area. The evidence was pointing back to Kirkland. Police pulled his cell phone records and saw that on March 13 and 15, he texted a friend asking if she knew of secluded areas where he could bury a gun. He also transferred $4,200.00 from Michelle's account into his own. He also searched for how to beat murder and killing the only witness. On the 18th of March, he texted another friend saying he needed to get rid of this stolo. This is slang for a stolen vehicle, which could refer to the burgundy Charger. A search of this car would tie him closer to this case. The police found 22 caliber shell casings inside the car, consistent with the weapon used in the murders. They also found bloodstains in both the front and back seats of the vehicle, alongside children's clothing matching what Layla was believed to be wearing on March 12, and a purse containing Michelle's identification. A .22 caliber pistol was found in the center console of Kirkland's second vehicle. With the mountain of evidence tying him to the murders, Kirkland changed his story. Kirkland claimed he and Michelle were arguing about his second cell phone when she fumbled with a gun and accidentally shot her daughter twice, then herself. He had given the .22 caliber pistol to Michelle due to her line of work, which he refused to elaborate on. Kirkland claimed he was under the influence of marijuana, mushrooms, and cocaine when the killings happened. He claimed he downed a bottle of prescription painkillers afterward, but then threw them up and drove to the home of his ex-wife, Monet, where he hid out for a few days. It was a sloppy alibi that still left certain things unexplained, especially with Layla. She wasn't just found dead, she was also naked from the waist down. This prompted investigators to obtain samples from the girl's body. Those samples were then linked to Kirkland. It would seem that he had forced himself on the 7-year-old before killing her and her mother. This gruesome discovery raised heated questions about why someone facing such serious murder charges in another state would be released from custody after being arrested for a serious domestic violence offense. The prosecutor who handled Kirkland's case in the 2017 killing said the Vancouver police notified her on March 2 that they had arrested Warren. It wasn't until March 14, after she had received official paperwork from Clark County, Washington, that she filed a motion to revoke Kirkland's bail in the 2017 murder case. But he was already roaming free. On October 8, 2024, Kirkland Warren was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murders of Michelle Melendez and Layla Stewart. The sentencing followed his guilty pleas to second-degree murder for Michelle's death, aggravated first-degree murder for Layla's, and an Alford plea for assaulting Layla before killing her. An Alford plea allows a defendant to maintain innocence while acknowledging that the prosecution has sufficient evidence for a conviction. The Arkansas case, he agreed to plead guilty to the murder of Curtis Urquhart. His sentence will run concurrently with the one he received for the murders of Melendez and Layla. It remains unclear why he killed them, but many have theorized that it had something to do with their financial crimes going wrong. The community also expressed outrage over Kirkland's history of violent behavior and the fact that he was out on bail at the time of the murders. Many questioned how he was allowed bail despite his violent history. A community vigil was held to honor the lives of Michelle and Layla and raise awareness about the impacts of domestic violence. After an emotional service, Michelle and Layla were buried together in a white coffin with pink lining, with organizers of the service noting that pink was one of their favorite colors. This is a call to action for us all. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please remember, trust your instincts. Reach out for help, whether it's a friend, a shelter, or the authorities. Your safety is never something to gamble with. Let us know what you think about this story in the comments section below.